I just thought it was disrespectful. I'm like, man, you know, we don't even want you here, to be honest. Like, we're not here to hognob with any rappers. And I personally don't like rappers who don't rap.
Right.
Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want it. So, you know, to come and interrupt the session, to do something backhanded and backbiting, and not for nothing, like, man, I done had to put my arm around you before. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, to go along with the title, so be it. He does this numerous times. You know what I'm saying? He'll do it with his mentor.
Right, right.
Ye. You know what I'm saying? He, you know, he was even instrumental in the whole beef now, the Like That verse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Egging that on. I don't want nobody who don't rap to egg nothing on. You don't rap. Stay out of rappers' business. You specifically stay out of rappers' business.
Right.
Don't do that.
After hearing that clip from Pusha T talk about rappers who don't, rap, my first thoughts was about time somebody said it, because there has been a lot of so-called rappers who think they're above other artists, but they're not true to form, especially like to an artist like Pusha T. Now, Travis Scott makes great music, but when it comes to rap or hip hop, he's not solely that. He's more of a pop artist, a rock artist, whatever you want to call it. There's not a lot of lyricism. There's not a lot of emceeing. There's a lot of production around what he does, a lot of his production and a lot of his hype, a lot of his energy. And we appreciate that. But at the same time, when you speak into true to form artists like a Pusha T, like a Kendrick Lamar, like a J. Cole, it's levels to this. And we know that about this aura that Travis Scott has around him because he has this crossover appeal. He comes from, Texas, but he makes music like he's from, California or somewhere. He doesn't have that Texas sound like, you get from a UGK, even a Lil Flip or any of those artists that usually come out of that Texas area. Even those Dallas artists like Yellow Beezy and those artists that are coming out now who have more lyricism in their art. Not Pusha T, but what Travis Scott is doing is more appealing to the masses, similar with the Most Def comment he had about Drake, about being a pop artist. And that's cool, but when you're talking about lyricism and art, Pusha T told no lies in this segment. He was basically speaking to what people or true hip hop heads have been thinking the whole time. But we're in an era now where, because you make more money than somebody or you have a bigger fan base, your words have more credibility than to somebody who has done it and has lived throughout the decades and who has stood the test of time. So just because you make more money, you can have more credibility, you can have more likability, you can have more say so about what goes on, but that's not always true. And it's the same thing with record sales and things like that. That argument that Jim Jones had talking about he was better than Nas because of his chart topping success. But, if you're looking at the art form itself, Billboard has nothing to do with this. SoundScan has nothing to do with this. Followers on Twitter and Facebook and things like that has nothing to do with this. It has to do with the art itself. And no one will ever say Jim Jones is better than Nas, and they definitely won't say Travis Scott is better than Pusha T as a lyricist, because we know what hip hop is, and what they do is not hip hop. It's something else. It's commercialized hits, consumer packaged goods, similar to what Mos Def was saying. And that article or that podcast he was talking on was gold, talking about, some people saying it as hatred, but he's just telling the truth. Nobody just want to say it. Everyone just goes about their day and just let these artists keep getting this off. But hip hop has not been trending in the right direction the last few years. Not only does Travis Scott do it, you have artists like Playboi Carti, Lil Uzi Vert, who are mostly rock stars and pop stars and, cater to the hip hop audience just to get that fan base there, but they're not truly hip hop. They have elements of hip hop, but when you think about lyricism and emceeing, it's not that. It's something else, something that hip hop was not based on. Hip hop foundation was not grounded in. And it definitely has to change because we're slowly turning hip hop into pop, and pop has its own genre, and hip hop is its own genre. But we still have people that's still in the game, like your Nas's, Kendricks, J. Cole's, Big Sean's, um, artists like that who still are in the game emceeing, but there are not a lot of true to form MCs that are coming out lately. There's a lot of hoopla and a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to this hip hop thing. And those type of artists are doing that. And it's based off the production as well, because they're not giving you a lot of words a lot of times. They're just giving you a lot of production, something you can chill out to in the club or ride in the car to, but nothing that you can sit with and just conceptualize and thinking about the just think about society where it is and things like that. And that's what hip hop is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about giving you news, giving you feedback, giving you things like that. They're not giving you that. Even though Pusha T is so called a trapper, he also gives you aspects of the real world as well, as opposed to the artists today just want to talk about the jewelry and things like the materialistic things, which is can be an element of hip hop, but you have to be balanced, and they're not that balanced in that way. Even though Pusha T is seen as having a subject that he's keen on, he still gives you diversity in his music as well. But I salute Pusha T for holding people accountable. He's been doing that a lot lately, especially with the new album that's coming out July 11th. Let God sort him out, which it seems like he's sorting them out right now. But it's very good to hear, because it's one of those things where the fans need to hear this, and he's going to give you the information you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And that's what is lacking in society today. Nobody wants to be told anything, and nobody takes criticism, and everybody thinks they're above approach, which, Pusha T is slowly reeling people into that. But we got to blame the fans as well, because the fans are becoming lazy. We're becoming complacent to this music, and we're not demanding more of those artists who are just giving you, the dog and pony show. They're not giving you true hip hop. They're not giving you They Reminisce Over You by CL Smooth. They're not giving you Nas's Illmatic type songs, which are difficult to do, but you can at least try. They're not even trying anymore. They're just appealing to the masses, or appealing to other demos other than the hip hop demos, which I understand for sales sakes and generating revenue, but at the same time, you have a fan base. And why did you fall in love with hip hop in the first place? Was it for the money? Because that's what it seems like it is for most of those artists. And it shouldn't be just about the money. It should be about your art and being the best that you can be, and being competitive in this hip hop game. So tell me what your thoughts about Pusha T's comments about Travis Scott. And until next time, I'll see you next time.